I'm good enough. Okay. Welcome to my podcast where I'm pushing positivity, purpose, and peace to all student athletes because we're not just going to win in our sport, but in our mind, body, and soul. I am doing an interview with my sister. She also is a Division I athlete. She plays at Eastern Washington. And I'm just excited to pick her brain and give you guys some tips, some tricks, and some insight on this space. So, Aaliyah, what's up, girl?
Hey.
Can you just tell the people your story, your background with basketball, why you started, the things that you've kind of gone through, just briefly, little summary?
So as my sister said, I'm Aaliyah, and I go to Eastern Washington University. I think I started playing basketball around 3rd grade. I was playing soccer before that, but switched over to basketball. Just around a basketball family. I saw my sister playing basketball. Mom played at UW. Dad was always coaching, so I think I just grew up in basketball. Played for a couple AAU teams, finished my AAU career with Tree of Hope. Got recruited to go to Eastern, and now I'm going on my senior year academically, so I'm getting ready to graduate.
Yeah, so how many years do you have left?
I have 3 years, though, to play, because I'm going to be a redshirt sophomore. So I have 3 years left to play, but...
And because of COVID.
And because of COVID and my medical red shirt because I tore my ACL and a couple other things.
Yeah, so her freshman year was during COVID. Then she got hurt. So, yeah, she has a lot of time left.
A lot.
But that's all right.
It's all right, and it's a blessing.
It's a blessing, yeah.
Because I have more to give.
Exactly. Exactly. So you've played some college basketball, but you're a little closer to high school basketball. As far as playing experience. So how was that transition from high school to college?
As far as like the playing basketball or just the
Everything. Yeah, everything.
Definitely, I mean, basketball-wise, collegiate basketball is definitely quicker, stronger. Everything's got to be like 2 times better from your transition from high school to college. You know, ball handling's got to be 2 times better, shooting's got to be better, decision making's got to be better, defense got to be better.
Right.
So I feel like that was the biggest transition, just the type of style of play. But I mean, as far as everything else, I would say time management is a whole like topic because you can really get yourself in a slump with not wanting to do your work, and then just with like traveling and stuff, you really gotta get some good skills.
For real. And social media is distracting.
It's distracting because you can really get your homework done if you really lock in.
Right.
In 1 hour. Maybe 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Literally.
Essay, 5 pages, 10 pages, you can really lock in and get it done. 2 hours.
2 hours.
But you be checking your phone and getting snacks every 5 minutes.
Okay.
Which makes it a 4 to 5 hour process.
Literally. For me, freshman year was like FaceTimes. I'll be doing all my FaceTimes, and then it'll be like 11 p.m. and I still have work to do, and I'll be like, bro, why did I do this to myself? Wanting to cry type.
But low-key, when that 11 hits and you gotta submit at 11:59, you really like...
I know.
Let me do my work. Because we love pressure. Athletes, we love pressure.
We love pressure, bro. Like, there'll be times I'm pressing submit 11:58 in that adrenaline in that minute, bro. You be like, okay, I hope my computer don't shut down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Because sometimes like you definitely have to have great time management skills. Sometimes there's seasons you don't have time. Yeah. And I remember like having an assignment and coming home from a road trip, girl, starting at like 11:10, crunching it out though. So yeah, it's wow.
Very tough.
Definitely a rush, for sure. What was your injury? You had a red shirt because your injury. What was it?
I tore my ACL, stretched my MCL, tore a little bit of my meniscus, I stretched my PCL. So basically everything except my LCL, which my which is my lateral collateral ligament. But my ACL, I fully tore that. So that put me out. I tore that at the end of my season freshman year. Literally 2 games before the tournament. Didn't get to go to the tournament. Tore it coming down from a layup. So had surgery the next month. Missed the whole next season. And then got back.
So how is that? Like, because I had an injury as well, my Achilles. And when you're coming back, it's really hard because you're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to push yourself. And just how did you deal with like trusting that you're healed and then advocating for yourself when you're not quite ready?
I mean, it was definitely a challenge. I would say starting off, I think was positive when I got my injury. Like, it's different for everybody. Like, when I tore my ACL, like, I didn't even cry getting up off the court. And I think when I sat down and I was, like, looking at my knee, I'm like, okay, I can't even walk. Like, I'm going to be out for a while. I just looked at it positively. You know, my parents are very positive. My sister's very positive. So I was like, okay, I didn't want to feel sorry for myself too long. So I was just like, okay, Lee, like, what else can I do? Like, this next year coming up, I'm going to be able to watch. I'm going to be able to get better. Because you got to be students of the game.
That's good.
I learned a lot just watching practice and then watching games, what the coaches want, how to be a leader off the court, how to rely on communication. So I just thought about it positively, and my mom would always say, like, if I couldn't do something and I was feeling kind of jaded, she was like, well, what can you do? You can work on ball handling. You can't do a layup. You can do some dribbling on the side. So I just fixed my mindset. So in my recovery time, I wasn't feeling down and sad. I was like, okay, I'm going to cheer on my teammates. I'm going to be a good teammate, and I'm going to do the stuff that I can because I just wanted to still have that positive experience. And once I started to get back and stuff, that's when it was like really hard because there's like a moment in your recovery where it's like I can almost like play, but then no, it's like I gotta sit back. And that's when it was really tough and I felt stuck. And, you know, I wasn't perfect all the time. Some days I had some, you know, bad days where I was like, you know what, I'm tired of this. Like,
Right.
Or I even had some setbacks. I had to slow down a little bit because my range of motion wasn't even good for me to run. So there's definitely some highs and lows, but I just always got back on track. And honestly, I think through the injury, I kind of had in the back of my mind God's plan. Like, I wasn't even really worried for real because I was like, God's plan, like, God is with me. So why am I going to be, you know, all hectic and stressed about it? So I think that helped me. And as far as returning to play, I could have came back. I think I was started to practice the next season, and I was getting up and down the court. I think November, December, but that's like when you're in the season and you only have when you only have a couple months left. But you can play, and then it's like you can feel 100%. And for me, I was like, I want to feel 100% because I don't want to have any second guesses in my mind, because that's how you get re-injured. And I was just looking at myself and I was like, okay, like, I'm watching film. I can't even get up down the court. Like, I'm not even low when I'm playing defense. So I just didn't feel comfortable, coming back. And my coaches were very understandable. I mean, of course, coaches are going to want to get you to play, especially if you're a good player. But they're understandable. I just said, I want to feel confident. I want to, redshirt my year. And, they trusted me. And I redshirted, and then next year came out for a swing. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break down this injury thing, because we all know, like, there's being hurt and then there's being soft. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's always tough, because I know there was time. I keep touching my mic. I'm sorry. I know there's times in my career, like, when I was hurt, I got told I was soft, but really it was like, no, I shouldn't be playing. So you mentioned, you said, I wanted to wait till I'm 100%. Let's break that down. Like, what is 100% coming back from an injury, and then what's 100% in season? Because I feel like in season, you're not 100%. Like, you always gonna have,
Right.
you know, my shoulder kind of hurt, my ankle a little tight, my calf. So what is that balance?
Right. Well, I mean, like you said, 100% for a season, you're never 100% because
Right.
you're stiff, you're hurt, your ankle, like, you roll your ankle all the time, have a little tweak in your shoulder. Like, you're never 100%, but 100% back from an injury, that's what I was striving for because,
Right.
one, ACL is not really, or anything that honestly you get surgery on,
Right.
it's not anything to play with.
It has to be stable.
And the people that had similar experiences to mine, I've talked to them, and they said, Lee, don't come back too early.
Right.
It's not worth it. Just rest. You will feel good, you know, a year out. So I was like, I'm listening to different people, and I'm like, okay, Lee, like, I'm not going to come back when there's only maybe 2 months left in the season.
Right.
Let me just wait. Let me be wise. Let me be patient. Let me not get anxious. Let me rely on God. Let me trust in God. Let me pray about it.
Wow.
And that's what I had to do. And for the decision, you know, sitting out because I didn't feel 100%, I had to pray about it, and I honestly felt peace about it. Every time that I, you know, thought about coming back and playing, I felt anxious, you know, a little nervous.
That's
but
good.
when I sat and I was like, you know what, I can just, you know, sit out this year, fully recover, I felt peace about it. It was like, so, it wasn't weird, but it was, you could see the contrast between the two.
Yes.
And that's the part, you know, God, I mean, he was involved all the time, but me praying to God, like, I immediately felt the peace.
Wow.
So.
That's good.
Yeah, but
Wow.
I just wanted to feel, you know, whole. I couldn't run. I was running slow, and I knew, because I played my freshman year, so I knew I needed to at least get back to that point. So I just had to, you know, be, you know, bold in my decision, stand in my decision, and
Yes.
that's what I did.
Be bold, and you're like Aaliyah said, not always gonna get it right. But what I try to emphasize to athletes is like, you have to stand up for yourself, because especially at the college level, right? AAU, high school, you got time, but at the college level, like, if you're hurt for too long because you keep playing before your time, before your body is healed, before it's ready, they're gonna move on to something else. They're gonna recruit over you. So it's like, you have to be strategic into where it's like, okay, maybe this is something I could push through, maybe it's not. Because if you get too far out to where you're that person that's not dependable, right? Am I lying? Like, you keep getting hurt, you're gonna lose trust in your coaches and in your teammates. Yeah. So it's really best for you to be like, you know, this sucks. I don't want to let my teammates down. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be on the outside, but I have to steward my body.
Yeah.
Because if you get too jacked up,
Yeah.
it's bye. You're like, you know, you're not useful. Always being hurt.
Yep.
And it's a hard thing to decide. Like, it really is.
And some people like misuse it, and that's why their coaches don't trust them.
Right.
Because for any little thing, they be acting hurt when they sit out at drills.
Yes.
So then their coaches are like, you know, they don't trust. But luckily, I'm a hard worker. Like, if I'm sitting out, I'm actually hurting.
Exactly.
Like, it actually hurts to step.
Exactly.
So I think my coaches trusted me. And it's like, okay, if Aaliyah wants to sit, like, you know.
Yes.
Even with, like, ankle, I rolled my ankle pretty bad. I had to miss a couple of games. But they knew if I was missing those games, like, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't playing around, so.
And that's good what you said, credibility.
Credibility, yeah.
That's so important. Who are you most days? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To where your coach could be like, oh, this isn't normal for Aaliyah. Like, something actually must be wrong. And they can give you that grace. But like you said, if you're always whining about something, always trying to get out of conditioning, always trying, you know what I'm saying? You lose that credibility. And when you actually are hurt, like the boy that cried wolf, it's like, nah. Like, he's tripping. He's soft or she's soft. So I love how you said that. I wanted to, because I got the inside scoop because you're my sister, so I know what buttons to press. But I wanted to ask you about, what does it feel like to be overlooked? How do you deal with maybe not, because this is something I've experienced too, and I think a lot of athletes experience, feeling undervalued, feeling overlooked, feeling like you don't get the credit you deserve. How do you deal with that and have a positive attitude about yourself and still, like, serve your team? because that can put you in the dumps when you work so hard and then you feel like, dang, I didn't get this, or they didn't see this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Talk about. Yeah. It's about to make her cry. Just talk about that situation.
Just thinking. Well, at first I was thinking like AU, and then like maybe like the offers that I get, like the amount of offers. I was kind of thinking that.
That's good too.
But then I was thinking about after this season, how I didn't get any honorable mention, how I didn't get any first team, second team, third team.
Yeah.
I didn't get no defensive team.
And she was like, you're a really good player on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, where I just thought, I was a good player in the league.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
So I was hurt. When that came out, I was actually hurt because I'm like, it was a lot of comparison. I was looking at, not from my team, but just from other people in the league. I was like, what? They made it over me?
Right.
I was just like really reevaluating myself. I was like, I've been working so hard. Like I legit cried. I was like, whoa. Like immediately after I saw the teams, I was like, wow, like I just feel unseen. Like kind of what I did like in the season was like for nothing. Like nobody saw all my hard work, what I went through when my knee was hurting, when I had to do treatment after. Nobody saw when I was doing, ankle exercises, my ankle was hurting and it was tweaking in the game and I had to push through.
Wow.
That's when I felt like no one's seen it. And I remember calling my sister like, oh my gosh, girl, what the freak? Like I didn't make it and I was just so hurt.
Yeah.
And, through good conversation, I was able to realize like, these people picking the teams, like that's not where you get your value from. She was explaining like you're gonna do a lot of things that people don't see and that people might not give you credit for. But it's like, am I getting my value from like those rankings? Am I getting my value because like I didn't get an award, So I just refocused and I was like, I get my value from God, from God above. And that was just reassuring. And
wow, that's good.
Yeah, that's how, that was tough, but I realized through realization. That's not where I get my value from.
Yeah, that's good. And there's so many moving parts, like, and on your team, you had like 3 people on it too.
3 people, and the next day at practice, Coach Skip, he was like, you know what? There's only so many people from your team that can make it. And we already had 3. So it's like having 4.
Their team's good.
Our team is stacked. So honestly, we could have had 5, 6, people on there. And he was like, you know what? Aaliyah is an all-league player. She should have been on there and, order like a clap and stuff. So I did felt seen because I feel like he probably saw my face and saw that I was a little salty and confused.
Yeah.
But I just appreciate that from him. And
that's love.
It did make me want to teary-eye a little. But
she doesn't like to cry.
I don't like to cry in front of people. So I held it down. But I was just like, wow, Jesus, yeah. Wow.
You're. Oh my gosh.
Wow. That was really sweet. But
wow.
Yeah.
So. Me, like, hearing my sister talk, like I said, she's my sister, so I know her, but she used to be really quiet. And I feel like sports has made you have to step out of your shell to be successful. So just talk about that, like, because I know there's a lot of good athletes that are maybe more introverted, more quiet, and they don't like being that vocal leader. Talk about how you have been a leader, maybe by not always being so vocal, and then how you are striving to be vocal, like for what's necessary for your team. Just those transitions.
Well, I think just what my parents kind of instilled in me, I've just always worked hard. I've always strived to do the right thing. Kind of wanted to please people, which is another thing that might be too much. But I always wanted to do the right thing, always wanted to work hard, wanted it to be, wanted somebody to be able to rely on me. So naturally, I just did that throughout, my college, experience and through AAU and through high school. That's how I wanted to lead, because I knew I was a leader.
Right.
But like she said, I was shy, I was quiet. I didn't really like talking. I didn't really like coming out of my box. So I was like, I'm gonna just lead by example. That's my comfort. I can do that any day, not challenging at all. Do the right thing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But as I, got older and through high school and college, I noticed that I kept being asked to lead others. And for a long time, I kind of rejected it because I didn't like being vulnerable and I didn't like stepping out of my comfort zone.
That's good.
And they were, my coaches, they were asking me to be that vocal leader. And it's not like I wasn't credited to be that vocal leader. I was the right person, but I just didn't want to do that because I didn't want to step out of my comfort zone. And it took me a while to realize that that's going to limit me in my growth.
Wow.
And I'm not saying like hit college, I, reached that, because I'm still struggling. They're still asking me to be a leader, still asking me to be vocal. That's something that I still struggle with.
Yeah.
But, through leadership conversations, through reading the Word of God, through talking to my sister, I'm always trying to take a little step forward and be more vocal. And I feel like I have grown in that. And sometimes, because I had 2 different coaches in college, they were asking me to be a leader my freshman year. And I feel like sometimes that confidence does come when you get older.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling like, I've been here, I put in the work.
Yeah.
What I say, like, I'm telling the truth. Sometimes that does come with age, but I think, like, when you're younger and you're in the stage and you need to be a leader, it really just comes down to how long am I going to allow myself to be in this box. People, like, are going to ask you for so long.
And then they're going to move on.
So it's really just taking that step and, coming into your purpose, I feel like.
That's so good. You said so much there, like credibility. So many athletes will try to be vocal leaders and they don't have that credibility. If you are if you're trying to be a vocal leader, if that's the role you want, you have to be doing your job. You can't be picking and choosing when you want to work hard, picking and choosing when you want to be vocal, picking and choosing when you want to listen to your coach. Like, there's a target on your back, like not necessarily in a bad way, but if you're saying I'm gonna be your leader, you know what I'm saying? You have to put in that work in the weight room, doing extra stuff, watching your film, doing the things required that your coach is asking you. And I think athletes get frustrated because maybe people don't listen to them. But you have to analyze yourself, like, why are they not listening to me? Maybe I don't need to be talking. Like, Yeah,
like, you're definitely being watched. Especially if these girls are your friends.
Or guys.
Friends or guys. They're your friends. They're seeing what you're doing. It's all being watched. Like, everybody's been in that situation when somebody's trying to talk, either in a huddle or at practice, and they're talking and you're like...
Yeah, like... You don't turn in your homework.
Yeah, you don't turn in your homework.
Yeah.
You even get in extra shots in the gym.
Yes.
And it goes in this ear and comes out the other.
That part.
And, it just messes with your credibility. And, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Right. No, you have to be on your P's and Q's. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. No. And I think one of the biggest strengths of a leader is to admit when you're not. Be like, hey, y'all, I had a bad practice. Like, my bad. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for cheering me on. Thanks for having my back. But I think that's so good what you said, credibility. Yeah, that's really good. So from your experience, what is something that you would want to tell your peers in the college level, AAU, high school, any of those age groups? What advice would you give them?
Basketball is not your identity.
Your sport.
Yeah, like, it's not who you are, it's what you do. And, like, multiple people have said that, but I feel like for me, basketball, I've kind of always put basketball in, like, a box in my life. And not, like, not caring about it. I care about basketball a lot, but I think I've just tried not to let basketball, take over my whole life. And luckily, like, at my school, I have a athletes in action advisor. And just through 1 year, like, we were, talking, having spiritual conversation, and I was just able to see that, basketball is not your identity.
Wow.
Like, it isn't who you are. And playing a sport, you can really allow it to affect your emotions for so long, have you in a dump for so
Days.
long. So, I mean, if you can figure that out now, and, we were watching another video of a filthy college basketball player, and she was saying you need to find something else besides basketball that you like and you enjoy. Because, like, for me, I like to bake and I like to paint. Like, those are stress relievers. You need to have something else besides basketball, just to, calm yourself down. I like it because it helps with me if I'm feeling anxious, have anxiety, stressed out. You need to find something else because you can really just get caught up with basketball. I had a bad practice, I'm feeling sad for the rest of the day. Had a bad game, I'm feeling sad, And it really can just make your life just not as enjoyable. Like, I feel like you can go through college and then you'll look back in 10 years and be like, dang, I did not have fun. Just because you let basketball rule your life. And that's one of the things that I feel like I found out and discovered, through spiritual conversation, that that's not my life. Like, God obviously, like, he's sports. Like, if you're playing your sport, like, he wants you to play your sport. But he has a bigger purpose, at the end. So I was kind of able to just not let basketball, rule my life. It wasn't my God. That's what I realized. It wasn't my God. Basketball doesn't give me purpose. Basketball doesn't, is not the deciding factor for me feeling good about myself. Basketball is not saying that you're enough. God says you're enough, through him. So I was kind of able to pick on certain things, and I think that's made my college experience better.
That's so good.
Kind of said a lot, but...
No, that's good. I'm glad you said it. Because I know for me, I definitely made basketball my idol more than I would like to admit, to where, like you said, when things didn't go well, it was like I wasn't doing well. My confidence was low. And I put my identity into it because I felt like I had to prove something about who I am. And it became unhealthy a lot of the times. And I was telling her off camera, like, how I admired that about her and I learned from her. It just, how to have those boundaries. Like, I would call her on FaceTime and she'll be like, yeah, I didn't have a good practice, but it's sunny and I'm not gonna let this ruin my whole day.
What else can I do my day?
Because I would be sad for the whole rest of the day. You know what I mean? Just mad or whatever. And she's always been that good example for me of just like, the game's over. Okay, I thought about it. I know what I can do better. I'm gonna watch film, but that's it.
That's it.
And I don't have to let it affect, who I am. And I know a lot of us in this space do that. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and I feel like people will try to cover up, like being so vested in the game, like, oh, I'm competitive. Like, you should be competitive. You should be so angry that you lost and have it fester in your body, and you're just, like that 24/7. But I don't think that's healthy. And it's like, 2, you can know when you gotta turn it off. If you have a bad game, it's like, okay, you know what? Let me work on what I gotta do. Boom. When I leave the gym, like, what else do I have to offer? Like, what else can I do in the day? Like, it's still a good day. And my spiritual advisor, he was like, God is still good. Like, sometimes you really gotta remind yourself, like, if you're having a hard time, like, in sport, you gotta be like, God is still a good God. And even just saying that phrase, like, it really makes you, kind of step back and be like, okay, that was just a part of my life.
Like, 3 hours of your day.
3 hours of your day. If you're feeling mad, boom, feel mad. But then be done. And then you come back next day hungry, and when it comes to practice time, then you're hooping and you're getting better. Or you come to the next game and you're hooping and getting better. But don't let that, for me, I'm not going to let that, anger fester up inside me where it's just taking over all my time, morning to night, morning to night, morning to night, morning to night. That's just too emotionally draining for me.
Yeah, and it does affect your game too.
Yeah.
That compounding frustration and pressure, that's when you get really great athletes. You watch them, it's like, oh, they're tripping. Like, they're airballing layups. It's too much pressure. There's a healthy amount of pressure, and then there's an unhealthy amount. And our brains, like, and I've talked about this in one of my episodes, but our brains can't handle, like, consistent pressure for a long period of time. Consistent focus for a long period of time. So that's good. Well, thank you, sister. She's so wise, you guys. She gave you guys a lot of tea. Thank you for being my first interview. Yeah, we'll look back on this and be like, wow. We really did that. Planted a seed. So that's the end of this episode, y'all. I hope you got something out of it. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.